When I was 19 and 20 years old, sort of in my college years, I struggled mainly with confidence, self-esteem issues, having the true edge as a man, whether it's with relationships, women, friends, socializing. I just didn't feel worthy. I felt like a loser, and I kind of just hid from the world, put my head in the sand, worked really hard in my academics, and kind of played small. And as I've grown now into the 30-year-old man that I am, confident, successful, focused, driven, passionate with purpose, meaning, happiness, love, I think back to that old version of myself. And what are the top 3 things that that kid needed? And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Because if you're feeling that feeling of not being enough as a man, not being good looking enough, smooth enough, charismatic enough, confident enough, knowing that you're playing small, knowing that you're afraid of what other people will perceive you as, how they think of you, if that's you, you'll find these 3 top lessons very valuable. Number 1 is presence. I was not present to what life is or what life could be when I was 19 and 20 years old, 10 years ago. I saw the external world as the means of confidence, fulfillment, everything that I desired to be, I needed to achieve first. I needed to be that man, and because I wasn't that man, it was obviously showing up in my external reality. And I thought the external reality needed to change in order for me to have that confirmation within that I am the man that I want to be. But here's the thing. That is not being present to right here and right now. I thought maybe if I can get these things in the future, if I can try and morph myself into someone that I'm not, in order to please other people, in order to get status and, just love and affection and attention that I was seeking from them. I thought if I get that at a later date, then that will be fulfilled. So I put off my happiness, my focus, my inward peace, my inward connection to my deeper parts of myself, my soul. But I completely ignored that and didn't even realize that that was actually what I needed to hone in on in order to feel good. I didn't need these external things in order to feel like the man I wanted to be. In fact, it was because I wasn't feeling like the man I wanted to be that everything I saw in my external reality reflected that. And so if I merely just focused my attention inward and trusted what I actually wanted and getting a sense of what that even means. A lot of the things that we think we want are what we're projecting other people will approve of us if we have, whether it's more women, more sex, more social status, more money, all those things we chase after in order to fulfill us, and we completely miss this present moment. And life only happens now. So if we can start to focus on that, whether it's a meditation practice, an inward journaling process, time spent in nature, when you start to focus inward and cultivate what I would call the magician energy, one of the 4 mature masculine archetypes, we can begin to feel empowered in who we are, and that has a natural radiance that will magnetically attract others into our lives that we want to be in our lives, not just people that are fillers to make us feel like we're more worthy. No, we know we are worthy, and so the right people will show up. And the love and the happiness that we feel within is reflected in the people that reflect that back to us, who show up in our lives, naturally and effortlessly. So that's number 1 is presence. Number 2, which goes hand in hand with presence, is empowerment. Again, very similar to the first one. When you're not being present to life, you're not empowered. And you're looking, again, for validation points in order to be and feel like the man you want to be. Focus inwardly first and start asking the big questions. What do I really want? What am I desiring in my reality? And don't make it an external thing like more friends, partying all the time, or whatever that is. You can desire that if you want, but ask the deeper question of what does that symbolize to you? What internal state, what reality are you desiring? And if you focus on that question, you'll begin to uncover that a lot of the things that you thought you wanted aren't actually things that you really even want. It's just things that you think you should do or should want and should pursue in order to be happy. And when you give yourself that permission to stop chasing the cultural narrative or the societal norms that are embedded in your psyche that you think are your desires, you become naturally grounded, naturally at happy and peace with yourself, which is actually what you've been looking for all this time in an external change in your environment. And number 3, building upon the first 2, is lessen your identification with the character and the story that you play in your mind of who you are. You can still have that story. We all have that story. We all have an ego. But when you cultivate a practice like meditation, for example, where you spend just 15 minutes in the morning every day, tuning out all that noise, and even letting that noise be there, but starting to learn that who you are isn't actually that person that is identifying with your thoughts, beliefs, feelings. They can be there and you can be totally at peace because you are just that detached awareness of everything. And when you start to become to identify with that awareness, you become stronger. You become more of a man, more confident, more grounded, less swayed by what other people think, less swayed by what you're not trying to mold yourself to fit this sort of societal mold, and you become more genuine. And people want genuine, authentic people. That is what's magnetically attractive and charismatic. When you are real and when you feel grounded in that realness, people pick up on that and they sense that. And those are the type of people that you would want in your life anyway. Not the people that are fake, not the people that are trying to play this game of alpha, or who's better than the other, or who has a better social status than the other. Those aren't games that you want to play. So when I boil it down to the 3 things that I wish my 19-year-old self really started to focus on, my trajectory towards being the man who I am today probably would have been a lot quicker. But everything happens in its due time, and so there's no need to regret anything. Everything happens the way it's meant to happen. But for you, you can streamline your process, you can speed up your timeline, and start skipping all the BS and all the struggle and all the constant depression and self-sabotage and low self-esteem that drains you. The man that you want to be is already within you as a seed. And rather than trying to create the tree from the outside, start watering and planting and fertilizing that inner seed that's always there. The tree of the man that you want to be is that seed. It is there in its fullness, perfectly outlined, and you just need to get in touch with what that is. Tune out the noise. And I'll share one anecdote to kind of illustrate this point, to really let this sink in home. I lost my virginity at 24 years old. And for a long time, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I felt very insecure about this. 21 even, 22, 23. I did feel quite insecure about having everyone around me, basically, that I know, having already had this milestone, and feeling like I was less of a person, less of a man because I hadn't been there, or I hadn't gotten enough women in my life. And that made me feel very bad about myself, quite frankly. And I'm sure a lot of you may be able to relate to that, especially you guys out there. But when I really got deep into getting in touch with myself and who I am, I realized that the reason why I wasn't having sex was obviously, one, because of self-esteem issues and lack of confidence, sure. But at a deeper soul level, I really didn't want to pursue casual sex. And even though I thought I did, even though I really thought that's what I wanted, and I would tell myself that that's what would make me feel better, I realized that that was all just societal pressure, cultural norms, status symbols. And once I really comfortable with actually, why do I need to feel like I need that in order to feel good about myself? I know that I'm a good-looking guy. I know that I'm a great personality. I know that the right woman, or the right type of women, will come into my life if I just be genuine and feel good about myself the way I am. Why can't I just access that state of being now with the way things are, with being a virgin? And when you start to ask those investigative questions, you begin to realize that, at least I did, that there's no reason. There actually is no reason because every single reason is only in your mind. And it's only planted there through the interactions we have constantly with other people, the conversations, the billboards, the subliminal messages about society, movies. And so once I really got my inner peace with that, then I did attract a partner who I lost my virginity with at 24. And the relationship didn't last. And it wasn't this thing where I felt like, yes, now I'm a man because I've had sex. It wasn't like that. Because that wasn't what I was holding on to anymore in order for me to feel good. And even years later, I didn't attract another partner that I am with now, currently. And so I stayed celibate and I stayed within myself, and I knew that the right partner would come, and there was no need for me to chase women. There was no need for me to get some sort of casual sex practice in order for me to feel like I'm confident in the bedroom. And my relationship with my girlfriend right now is amazing, and we have an amazing dynamic in the bedroom, and all because I was in that energy of total confidence, masculine frame, dominance, charisma, certainty, the way you hold yourself and carry yourself. You don't need those external things in order to feel that way, as long as you get in touch with you, as long as you're in touch and love yourself for who you are, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what the voice in your head will tell you. As long as you stay in touch with that and you keep watering that seed, at first it's gonna feel like nothing's happening. At first it's gonna feel like, bro, just give up. This tree isn't growing. You've been watering this plant for a year now, 2 years, 5 years, nothing's happening. But what you can't see is underneath that surface, the seed is branching off its roots, and it's nourishing itself with the soil and the water, and it's strengthening itself, and it's already hit the point of no return, where it's going to blossom into this amazing, strong tree with big branches and security that's gonna last hundreds of years. That's the type of person you need to build yourself up to. That's the type of person that you are. And so don't let the external appearances deceive you. Keep your head down and keep watering that seed, and keep giving yourself the love and the worthiness that you know you deserve. Because it's, at the end of the day, it can only come from you anyway. You can only feel it if you're exuding it out. And so why do you need other people to reflect that back to you in order for you to exude it out anyway? Contemplate those questions. Go deeper. I hope you guys found this video valuable. Subscribe for more. Nothing but peace and love.